This is Jorge Rivera with FirstCoast.tv. I find myself with
Dr. John Young, professor of history at Flagler College.
All right. We're here at the small theater here at Flagler to see the film Asylum. And
no Asylum.
Oh, No Asylum. I'm
right.
sorry. Yes, No Asylum. And my question is, in a synopsis, what is this film?
Well, it's a story of Jewish refugees who, during World War II, of course trying to flee persecution in Germany and Europe, sought refuge in the United States and were denied. And there were actually quite a few instances of this.
This film is so interesting that it's being presented with all this background of the executive order that the president gave of stopping visas and a lot of programs. And a lot of refugees were just about, some of them, to get on the plane when suddenly...
Some of them turned back or,
yes.
or detained at airports.
Exactly.
Here, right.
So what do you think the people who come here to see this will connect with that?
I imagine there will be mixed opinions. I don't think there's going to be any kind of homogeneity of opinion here. That's my assumption. But this is definitely a timely issue.
Yes.
It's something that I think we need to be thinking about, and if we can connect current events to things that happened in history, and that helps us in some way understand it, then so much the better. I mean, this is the whole point, I think, of studying history, thinking about history.
Yes. Well, I thank you for this. I believe there'll be a Q&A after.
There will be, yes.
Yes, and we'll cover some of that, and I guess we'll sit and watch the film also and see how we emotionally connect with this film. I thank you, and let's see what this is all about.
Okay, thank you.
Many people know Anne Frank, but many people don't know about her father. Her father was Otto Frank, and he tried for a long, long time to try to get the family out of Holland as the Nazis kept sweeping Europe and eventually made it into Holland. Sadly to say, Anne Frank, like many millions others, became victims of the Nazis, and they died in the camps. Otto did survive, and what Dr. John Young was bringing was a film, No Asylum, was showing the history of Otto Frank dealing with the bureaucracy, not only in his country but in other countries, mainly the U.S., where he got letters over and over where his request for asylum was rejected. He did try for Cuba, he did try for other countries, but usually he'd only get one visa for himself. And he knew that if he left without his family, they would perish. At the end, sadly, his family did perish. He was the only one to survive. And he carried the memory of his youngest daughter, Anne Frank.
But in 1952, due to the efforts of Otto Frank himself, his daughter's diary was published, first in the Netherlands and then in the UK and the United States and Germany and some other places. There followed a Pulitzer Prize-winning play in 1955 and then a film version of it in 1959. And those of us who have read this or seen the play or the movie will recognize in ourselves a bit of Anne Frank, in our own experience. This is probably one of the reasons that she resonated so well with people. Novick credits Anne Frank with bringing the Holocaust to attention in the United States and internationally. And so it was really this teenage girl who brought the attention onto the consciousness of people. If this was about somebody else, somebody we didn't know about, maybe somebody who wasn't Jewish, but rather a Roma or a homosexual or a Jehovah's Witness, would it have the same impact? If this was a story not about the Holocaust, but rather about somebody seeking asylum and being denied by the United States, fleeing some other atrocity, whether in the past or more recently, would it have the same impact? Should it?